So, on to the last chapter for this week, Chapter 10, Musical Style. In the background, you're listening to a piece by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. It's a piano concerto, and it is written in the classical music style. It's a great piece of music. I've listed the video in your chapter folder in case you want to hear more of it. So, you have to ask yourself, what is musical style? We use the word style in a lot of ways, but when we're talking about music, style is a characteristic way of using melody, rhythm, tone color, dynamics, harmony, texture, and form. It's how composers and songwriters combine the elements of music to create distinctive styles. In other words, they take the elements you've learned about in these last 2 weeks of video lectures, and they combine them in their own distinctive ways. They might be influenced by what's popular at the time, because at particular moments in history, and also in particular places in the world, there have been popular trends in what we like to listen to. Those are called popular musical styles, and that's what all of music is at one point in time or another. Lots of you may think that classical music is out of style. Well, you're right. Classical music is not the popular current style of the time, but it's an appreciated historical style that still does get performed many places across the world. Here's a listing of a few of the stylistic periods. These are eras in which certain characteristics were so popular they created national and international trends, such as what we're listening to now, a classical period piece. You can see the dates that are listed next to these areas: the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, the Baroque period, the Classical period, the Romantic period, and the 20th century Classical period. These are approximate dates as to when the music started to become popular, when it rose into popularity so that everyone was listening to these particular styles, and then fell out of style. They fell out of popularity. People wanted to move on and listen to other things that were much more interesting. So when you think about these periods, remember, say that at the end of the Baroque era, or stylistic period, the Baroque style of music, the popular Baroque style, was going out of favor, and in its place, music was transitioning towards the classical period popular music styles. We have a lot of popular styles today: jazz, folk, blues, reggae, gospel. There's tons. There's way too many to list. And this was true for every time period. In the classical period, there were lots of different types of music that were popular. Concertos, such as the one we're listening to, were very popular. So were orchestra pieces. So were solo pieces and operas. People listen to lots of different styles now and then. And this class is to help us appreciate all of those styles and learn what they sound like and learn how to talk about those styles and to listen to them ourselves. Remember now that once you're done with this, you can move on to the assignment and the discussion board for the week, and that you also have an exam this week. The exam is on both weeks 2 and 3, all of the elements you've learned from part 1 of your text, from chapter 1 all the way through chapter 10, omitting chapter 4, since we'd never talked about that and this class was not about learning notation. So when you're studying, keep in mind a few things. You want to re-look at these videos so that you remember the definitions and what we talked about. You also want to re-listen to the musical examples and know about them, because the test is going to be primarily multiple choice questions that are in-depth synthesis questions. That means that they're not going to be easy questions necessarily, because I want you to be thinking about the elements you've learned about. Sure, there are going to be multiple choice questions that ask you to define particular words or give an example of a particular type of tone color, say. But most of the questions are going to make you think one step beyond that. They're going to say, remember listening example 3? Remember listening example 4? Now, let's talk about those and answer some questions about them and how they relate to style, pitch, dynamics, instrumentation. So, when you're listening back to all of those examples, make sure you're listening from the perspective of all the elements, not just the one element we were talking about when we listened to that example. Any of the extra videos, the extra music that I've played here that is not called a listening example is not on your test. So please, make sure you spend your time with the listening examples that are numbered, not on the listening examples that were extra to help you understand the definitions of terms. Okay guys, that's it for this week. I'll be back with you next week starting the Baroque period of music. It's a blast and I hope you'll enjoy it, but good luck this weekend finishing up your assignment, group discussion board, and exam number 2.